thank you for tuning in to another episode of Oh Shit, You're Right. Thank you for tuning in to another episode of the Paper Bag Club podcast. This is episode 12, and today we're talking about Halloween, some of our traditions and kind of maybe favorite memories. I think is what I was trying to go to.
I think that would be a good one to talk about as well.
Yeah, how many Halloweens have you had?
Oh, man. Since I've been alive?
Sure. No, that you remember.
Oh, that I remember.
You know.
Yeah, all of them.
Yeah. What's your earliest childhood memory?
Of Halloween?
Sure.
My earliest memory of Halloween, I remember being a clown when I was really little.
Yeah.
Really little.
Good choice?
Maybe no. Not at all. Maybe 3 years old. That's my earliest memory.
Damn.
Yeah. I don't remember anything else.
Yeah.
And it could be that what I remember is pictures of me being a clown.
Yeah, or you're traumatized.
Well, I don't like
know.
clowns. I do not like clowns.
Maybe that's where it stemmed from. Your first Halloween.
I remember my brother was, I think he was the genie from Aladdin that year.
Yeah.
Yeah, which was also, and
How
my
old?
mother was also a clown.
Yeah, that's a lot.
Mom.
What you doing?
Right?
Yeah.
Shoot. Well, back then there wasn't this, this crazy stigma of
Clowns killing people?
Well, maybe that's not true either.
Well, I remember Bunny Man from last episode.
True.
That was
it,
the 60s.
Ed Gein?
Yeah.
Was that Ed Gein?
I think so.
It was one of those serial killers.
One of
He
them.
was a clown.
We'll have another episode on that. We'll have some other special guests.
On serial killers. Yes. Other than that, one of my favorite traditions for Halloween was every year we would do 30 Nights of Fright, and we'd watch a scary movie every single night of October until Halloween.
Wow.
Yeah, every single night. And I've kind of been slacking the past couple of years.
Yeah.
But every year my mom reminds me, she goes, hey, don't forget 30 Nights of Fright, watch a scary, or, just Halloween movie. It doesn't have to be scary. But that's something I always try to remember and always try to do. I'm sure a lot of people try to watch more scary movies during Halloween, but
Yeah, I think it's just that time, kind of like with Christmas, just the theme or whatever.
Yeah,
also that's
true.
an interesting one. I've never even thought about that. I mean, watching scary or Halloween-esque movies during October, sure, but a 30-day marathon of them?
yeah. And, I'm an adult now and I work a lot. So watching a movie every night, I'm like,
That's a lot of time.
you want me to do what now? But also we used to watch The Simpsons every Sunday because a new episode comes out every Sunday, and they would have the Treehouse of Horror episodes that come out every Halloween time, and we always loved watching those as they came on, which was really cool. It was a really cool feeling.
Yeah, I never watched Simpsons, but I know there's a lot of other good shows. Okay, I've seen the show, but I don't watch it regularly, so...
Oh, that's crazy because you didn't grow up in a religious family, right?
No.
You didn't watch The Simpsons?
No.
That's crazy.
I mean...
I grew up Catholic, and that was I would say, oh, it's Sunday. We just went to church. Let's go watch some Simpsons.
Yeah, no, I guess if I had to pick an animated show, it'd be Family Guy was my go-to.
Yeah.
In the whole Adult Swim-esque era.
True. That was a
of
little
shows.
later for me, though.
Yeah.
That and Futurama. I think those were made by the same people. But,
Those are good ones.
What about you? What's a good tradition that y'all had?
Well, just like most people, I think, at least, who actually celebrate Halloween, because there are some who don't, which kind of baffles me, but whatever. Just, trick-or-treating, dressing up, going around the neighborhood, especially since living on base, it was a very community-driven area.
Also
so
true.
I've lived, for Halloween trick-or-treating, when I lived on base, I think those are some of the most prevalent Halloween experiences. Everybody was participating.
Yeah,
you walk away with a bunch of candy.
Yeah, it's such a close community, knit community. So I remember when I lived on base at the same time. Well, when I was older, when maybe I was a sophomore in high school, we would go a little later when trick or treat was about to end and hit up all the houses, and all the people were just give them all the candy.
Yeah,
we'd have pillowcases full of candy.
Yeah, I learned that trick my second time on base. Pillowcases instead of just bags or whatever.
Put a little hole in it so your hand can go through it.
Yeah, but opposed to base, anytime I've lived anywhere not on base, just whether it's a neighborhood or just a single house or whatever, there's not a lot of community trick-or-treating involvement. I'd be maybe every third house or something, but I know a lot of places doing a downtown one for the kids or whatever. I think Buford does that.
Oh, it's a trunk or treat or
Something like that. Yeah. But when I also lived on base, my parents were really involved, not in the community in sense, but in the Halloween sense, right?
So we celebrating this one.
Yeah. So every year for about 5 years when I was in Pendleton, my dad did a garage haunted house.
Oh, he was
right?
one of those guys.
Yeah. So like he
So
went
we
all
scared
out.
all of those little kids.
Yeah, and I got some stories for that, but he went all out. Like he would get what are the lights? The not neon lights, but
Oh, the black lights.
yeah, black lights, and then we get fog machines and like heavy fog, kind of like your party, and then all the decorations. My mom would do blood. We do cobwebs, like the whole
Real blood?
everything. I mean, we had to get some from somewhere, right?
You're right. Just slaughter some
Fake blood's just
pigs
too
in the
expensive.
backyard.
Yeah. So I mean, we would do haunted garages, house tours, whatever you want to call them, almost every year, and that was like the biggest tradition that I remember, other than just casual trick or treating. And this one year, so my dad's a Marine, like you know, and he would get a bunch of his Marine buddies to kind of help up. And so they had this one time where we had this garage, and we kind of set it up so you walk in the right side, you kind of do a loop, that way there's not like traffic block up or whatever. And we had a huge long table full of just candy, just kind of pick and grab, not like, hey, you get 2 or whatever, right? But then we had like jump scares and stuff. So one of my dad's friends was hiding behind the garage door, kind of like if you walk in, there's like just a little crawl space behind there. Maybe not crawl space, but walk space, whatever. He could stand
they're
up.
Marines too. They can fit anywhere. They have like all the camouflage
Right.
on, just waiting.
You ever see the garages that go up and you can like stand on top of them or whatever, or not stand but lay on top of them? No, maybe. Well,
I mean,
either way.
I can picture it.
Okay.
I've never
Well, he was
done
so
that.
you walk in and he's on the right. So this girl was walking and she had her purse, and he jumped out and scared her, and she swung it out of like just fright. And it was a pretty heavy purse because she had a bunch of whatever
girls
stuff in
put
there.
everything in there.
Yeah, so
like, I
she
had a
hit him
hammer in there.
hard.
Came out broken nose. Don't worry, it's pig's blood.
Right. I said, no, this is the costume. So that was a funny remembrance of mine. So yeah, that's a funny memory for one of the haunted houses. And then actually the same year that happened, we had some teenage kids come in, and so they had pillowcases too. And we didn't have like a limit, right, on how much candy you can grab, but people kind of had a general rule, like, 2, 3, maybe 5 pieces max. Well, they came in and they scooped the entire table. 2 kids. My dad was dressed as Dracula that year, and he chased them down the street, gone for 30 minutes. I was like, what is happening?
Minutes?
He came back with all the candy.
Oh, Jesus.
Yeah.
And more.
Yeah, and more. He took their backpacks.
Oh, my God.
And they had a bunch of candy in there, too.
He's like, the backpacks are mine, too, now.
Yeah, and then we had a lot of candy that night. So that was a
I
good
can only
memory.
imagine. 2 kids probably swiping on the candy everywhere else. But, yeah, talking about how close being on base was with trick-or-treating, I don't think, other than living on base, I've ever trick-or-treated in my own neighborhood.
Yeah, I don't think I can say that either. Okay, that's
like,
not true.
we had like mapped out, like, okay, this is the best spots. These people giving out full-size candy bars, or everyone on the streets doing it, and we had to go to like 3 neighborhoods down, or to another.
Like, you know what neighborhoods are going to do the right stuff.
Yeah. But not ever, other than living on base, did we ever trick or treat in our own neighborhood.
Yeah. Actually, to that aspect, I'd say same. But I was gonna say that I have been trick or treating outside of my neighborhood. I think 2 years ago I went with Marley in her neighborhood.
Trick or treat?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
2 years ago.
Yeah. We've been together for 3 years, so.
Well, it's not the whole point of how long y'all been together. It's a point of how old are you?
Oh, don't worry about that. Yeah,
So we went trick or treating. We could pull it off.
we didn't go by ourselves. We went with her siblings, so we were kind of like chaperoning, but still getting some candy.
Gotcha.
Everywhere, and I had my goatee or whatever. I was like trick or treat, trying to support her younger siblings because they were like scared or anxious or whatever it is that kids get, and so I had to go up there with them so they can get some candy. And then almost every door they're like, "How old are you?" It's like, don't worry about it.
I took a lot of testosterone growing up.
There's something in the candy. So, but yeah, again, I agree. Base was probably the best Halloween experience I've ever had in terms of trick or treating.
Especially since everyone was so close to him.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. It was a great time.
Great.
Another tradition we used to have growing up is my mom would make like a Halloween dinner, and everything would be like spooky.
Yeah.
So I am not a meatloaf guy. My mom every year would make a foot meatloaf.
Yeah.
And I would hate it. Sorry, Mom. But she was like, oh, this is so wonderful. And it was cool, right? It just looked like a cooked foot. But I already didn't like meatloaf. So now meatloaf in the shape of a foot, I was like,
Double bad.
And I don't like ketchup either. What's the one thing you do?
That's
Yeah,
what meatloaf
yeah,
is.
it's
Just
ground
meat
meat.
and
It's a giant meat patty and ketchup, and it's just like the worst of all the worlds for me. And she always came up with like cool things, like she'd have like a bowl of just like corn, and it would be like 1,000 teeth of pirates or something, which in my head now, I'm like, how inventive you had to be. At least have the energy to go through and make all these different little things just for like Halloween night, just so we could have something cool to eat. And now I just sound like a unappreciative ass. I'm like, oh, you didn't like my foot loaf?
Right. All the work I put into it.
She always put in a ton of effort to make a lot of cool things for us. Or like she would make Jello, but put it in a glove.
Oh yeah.
And then like put them in like punch, so it looked like there was like bloody hands inside the punch. So that was always a good memory I had of growing up with Halloween and traditions.
That's really cool. My mom would do things like that, but not so much for Halloween, but kind of like all the other ones. Like back when I was in high school, at least, I just come home from school and she just have like a little care package or like Easter Bunny or Valentine's Day or whatever the theme.
I thought you meant like she was making like Halloween foods all year long.
So yeah, no, I eat feet loaf on a regular basis.
Yeah, it's just Thursday.
Yeah,
she just made a foot loaf.
Right. I don't remember at least any kind of like Halloween food kind of like that. I mean, maybe here and there like candies or whatever, like the what are the Harry Potter jelly beans?
Oh yeah,
do you count
Bertie
those
Bott's?
as Halloween? Kinda. I mean, I think they come out around that time. No.
No.
Okay. Well, there's a specific like Halloween weird jelly bean something or other out there.
I see that too. My mom's gone to the jelly bean factory a whole bunch of times. She always sends me like weird jelly beans. Like I have a pack of beer flavored jelly beans.
Oh wow, that sounds terrible.
I also haven't eaten. Mom, I'm sorry. These don't sound appetizing.
Yeah, this is gonna be a whole roast on yourself.
Right? It's like, man, that kid's an asshole.
Right.
Respect your mom.
Yeah, that's the lesson
I have for Halloween. I disrespect my mother every Halloween.
That's the only chance I get.
Right, but they would let us. I guess this is also another tradition. They let us like gorge on as much candy as we wanted that night.
Yeah,
and then for like the next
rest of the year.
weeks, the next couple weeks is like you're not allowed to have any candy, and I'm sure they probably just kept it for themselves, or they were rationing them out for us. But we would get sick.
Yeah.
Die on candy that night. I'm like, oh, this and this and that.
Were your parents ever I guess skeptical about people putting like nails in the candy? Did you ever hear about that?
Well, I mean, I know it's a thing, like razor blades and apples and stuff, but I mean, we would check all the candy too. That was the thing. We'd all dump out all of our candy and we'd go through everything, which in my head, I think at the time I probably was like, so I can get rid of the yucky stuff. Who wants a Twizzler?
Right.
No, who wants a Tootsie Roll? My mom wanted a Tootsie Roll, so I'm like, oh, this is why we're going through, so they can get all their
I'll
stuff.
trade you for that.
Right, you want my Twix? Psych.
I don't know about that.
Yeah, but I remember going through, we would dump out all the candy, we'd go through everything, because sometimes there'd just be wrappers. And I don't know if the candy would fall out, and I would just find like the candy somewhere else, or
just dump in wrappers.
Yeah, right. And 2 for you, and 2 for you. That's the joke.
So,
you
man,
get to
my
keep
house
the
is
candy.
clean.
You get to keep the candy for yourself, and then everyone else is getting the wrappers.
Right.
But what was the question? Checking the candy. Yeah, I mean, we'd always check, but I don't think we've ever found anything like a needle or
I don't think
razor
either.
blade or nail or anything.
When my dad came home with the backpack, we found some interesting things in there. But
a giant black dildo? Interesting?
No.
What interesting then?
Don't leave me hanging. Not candy. Tune in next week.
Tune in next week to figure out what was in the backpacks.
But another memory I had was there was this one house this guy like lived for Halloween, right? And he would set his garage up like a haunted house as well. But he had this one where it was kind of like, instead of like mine was like in a line type deal, his would be like back and forth, right? And it has a bunch of sheets and strobe lights. That's another thing my dad used. Strobe lights. Yeah, strobe lights, fog, and the lights. That's a good combination. And he had a chainsaw, right? Like Chainsaw Massacre.
Yeah, just take the chain off.
Yeah, I never knew that. So like, he's about to fucking kill me. My mom's like, go in there. I'm like, I don't want to die.
He has a chainsaw. He could
go get
trip
candy.
And we'd all die.
Right. I was like, they're super like confident in themselves, so they're gonna have a chainsaw around kids, like and like this
running
close.
With it.
Yeah, and he chased someone down the street, and this girl was screaming. She like passed out or something.
Yeah, I lived. I used to be in a band, and I lived at my drummer's house, and they were really big into Halloween too, and they would do the same thing. They'd take the chain off the chainsaw and then just turn it on.
Which I didn't know that was a thing.
Yeah, you just thought the chain was just stuck on there forever.
Yeah, I did.
Yeah.
And I was like, this guy's chainsawing kids.
The blade breaks on it. You have to buy a whole new chainsaw.
It's like the Purge, but on Halloween.
But to be honest with you, I thought the same thing at first. I was like, what the hell? They just cranked that up.
Yeah.
What's going on?
So that's a scary noise when you don't know what's about to happen.
Yeah, you just hit that gas thing.
It's rough.
And it just really scared the crap out of you. And they would do the same things, just chase people down. And they had some Marines that lived right next to them. And again, they like lived for it. They would like run after them. They would jump and dive into the ditch and hide like all stealthily and then wait for someone to come and then pop back up and scare the crap out of them. But hilarious. It's always a wonderful time. I think a newer tradition I have now is I try to throw a Halloween party every year. And we try to go all out, just to make it as fun as possible. We got the fog machines, the black lights, we got strobe lights. We decorate the whole place. This year I even figured out how to turn my TV black and white, and I played Scream on it.
It looked good.
And no one was in the living room the whole time. And I was like, man, I should have put the food in the living room.
Right.
Because I thought this was really cool. I was like, I got a cool, scary movie all in black and white, and it was like really low, and it was still a good time.
Yeah.
But
it did look good, though. I did see it. Man. I was like, wow, this looks like Psycho level stuff.
Yeah. But
Hitchcock.
I watched a little bit of it, but again, I was just in there by myself because everyone was in the kitchen with the food.
Come on, guys, it looks good in here.
Yeah, but one thing I told myself last year to do it this year, and I didn't do it this year, was kick back on the food because I throw so much away the next day.
Yeah, I bet.
I don't think I probably would need to throw it away if I just like cleaned up that night, but. I went to bed like at 4 in the morning. I wasn't putting away pizza and dip and all that stuff. It's
not a Halloween party if you clean up that night.
Yeah, not at all. It's not a party.
It's like rule 3 or something.
So hire some people to come in and do it. You have any other traditions?
Let's see. Occasionally we'll do haunted houses because I know some places. Back when I lived in Georgia, there would be one of the local organizations, kind of like we have Kappa or whatever here. Yeah. But whatever organization down there, they would take a house and make that into a haunted house, and they get volunteers and do all this stuff, and then I forget if it was free or if you do like a small fee or whatever, and that kind of supports this good cause. Yeah, like that. And we would go and do those, and just like there'd be like a couple throughout the month, and just kind of people taking turns. So we'd go and do those, and it'd be on like super like weird corners in these like neighborhoods, so it actually looks like a abandoned house.
Last
and then they haunted
house
it
on the left.
So I mean, I think haunted houses and any like theme park, like when I lived in Valdosta, Wild Adventures is like 20-30 minutes away from where I lived, and they're pretty big about Halloween. They do a bunch of like haunted houses or like haunted tour type things. And then I don't know if they recently started doing this, but my sister loves this. She would do this thing where you go there at the park, and I think they start around 8 o'clock and the park closes at 10, but around 8 they would have like the entire staff, or at least a majority of them, dress up in, costumes, scary stuff, and then they just walk the park like The Walking Dead or whatever.
Well, that's pretty cool.
And they'll jump out and scare people, just kind of walk behind them, just do this, stay in character and kind of bring the park to death.
Yeah, I've always wanted to live closer to a amusement park. The last time I did a haunted house type thing was a very long time ago, and I'm not a big like running away from things kind of guy. But in that instance, I was running. I said, I'm trying to get to this as quick as possible. It's like eating that spicy ramen. I was the first one done. I was like, I need to get this over now.
The sooner the better.
But it's been a long time. I think when I lived in California, the big theme park that was close by, other than Universal and Disney World, was it Knott's Berry's Farms right there?
I think so, yeah.
And they had Knott's Berry's Farm.
Yeah.
Which is really cool. I remember skipping school.
Mom.
Dad. Lived with my dad then, everyone. But to go there. And it was always a great experience. Again, we don't live anywhere close to a place that does that now. Or at least I don't know of any like haunted house things nearby. I'm sure there has to be something. I think there's one actually by the Broad River Bridge that opens up near Halloween every year, but I've never done it.
Yeah, the only thing I've done, at least in Beaufort area, is Kappa does a walking ghost tour downtown Beaufort, which is always fun. I mean, I think I've been twice or maybe 3 times, and it's kind of like the same thing, but sometimes they're all different people, so the criticism and the acting's a little better or different, different.
So, man, I came here yesterday, and y'all were a lot scarier.
Right. But those are always pretty interesting because they'll have like jump scares, and I don't want to spoil it for anyone who hasn't gone, but it's very like history and Halloween kind of combined, so it's a good little time.
It's like, this dead guy lays here. This is his ghost.
Exactly, just like that. And then I guess the only other tradition I really do is just scary movies, like you said. But instead of like a marathon, like whatever scary movie comes out for that month, because always a couple or.
You always got to see one.
Yeah, I mean,
what's coming out this month? I guess Zombieland 2 just came out.
Yeah, that was pretty good. But I mean,
scary, not really scary.
Yeah,
comedy. But
it was zombie, but it wasn't like horror.
Is there anything else coming out this month? Stay tuned in to the next episode.
Right. Nothing. I haven't really kept up with too many movies recently, but I think in terms of like scary movies, the scariest movie I've ever seen was the first Insidious. Oh man! And I was always one to go for the scary stuff, just so like I like the jump scares. I like being scared or whatever in the situation. And most movies never really did that for me. Like, okay, the occasional like that one jump scare in the movie just randomly. But Insidious was the first movie I ever watched that I was like genuinely scared, and I didn't like it.
Yeah, I don't think for me it was the first one I was genuinely scared at, but it was definitely the first I was genuinely scared at as an adult.
Yeah.
I remember seeing it and going back to my car and afraid to open my car door because it was dark. And there's one thing about Insidious that I really think would have made it a lot better as a whole, and it's at the end when the demon monster guy is like running on the side of the walls.
Yeah.
I thought that ruined it for me a little bit, just because I thought it was a lot scarier. We were only seeing bits and pieces of him, like when his face popped up behind you. I remember that giving me the worst amount of chills. And I think the scariest part of Insidious for me, one, I don't like the only thing that scares me to that level is like paranormal, demons, ghosts.
Yeah.
And that's like all it was about. What?
Annabelle.
Yeah, so paranormal, demons, and ghosts, and dolls. But whenever there's a doll involved, it's always paranormal, demon, ghosts.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a demon inside that doll.
She's
or
just
that
chilling.
one.
All of them, probably.
All of them. Yeah, but that goes into the same thing. It's never like the doll just is alive for some. No. There's always some sort of supernatural thing going on with it. But so that in itself made Insidious scary for me, but also that everything was happening in the daytime and the nighttime.
Yeah.
That's what got me. I was like, it's freaking, there's sunlight in the house
no
right
rules
now.
Anymore.
And there's a man screaming at this baby in the baby monitor.
Did you ever see the second and third?
I did see the second one. I did not see the third one.
I saw the second one.
Yeah, the second one was also good.
Yeah. I think like top 2 scariest parts of that was again when the face popped out like in real life and you're like, oh shit, this is like not in his head or whatever.
Yeah.
And then when he is walking through his dream state or whatever, and it's like complete blackness and like 1,000 hands jumps out at him because like darkness can be scary like that.
And number 2, the thing that gave me the most chills, or maybe it was this, I can't even remember which one it was. It probably was number 2. It could have been number 1. I think it was number 2. There was a little like demon kid dancing to Tiptoe Through the Window.
Yeah,
is that what it's called? Tiptoe Through the Window or something?
She's like taking out the trash.
Yeah, and he's in the house and he's like dancing to that ruined that song for me because my core, not that I listened to that song ever by
but
Tiny
the only
Tim,
time you ever know.
The only time what I associated that song with was SpongeBob. Like that type of music, like Tiny Tim stuff with like the ukulele and everything.
Yeah,
was SpongeBob always. And then I saw that, and I would like constantly like the song would just like pop into my head and just like chills. I'm like, oh, I can't move, I can't breathe. There's something behind me. That little demon kid is doing that weird dance, and I can't look because I know he's over there. He's over there. So all that whole universe of movies, the Ed and Lorraine Warren, because those were real paranormal investigators. And they had like in their house they had it's almost like a museum of like haunted things. Like Annabelle, which y'all don't see, and y'all probably will in the next video.
Yeah, if you're only listening, go to our YouTube channel and watch.
Yes.
Please and thank you.
There is an Annabelle doll on this table, but they had like the real one that was based off of, like locked up in this like glass cabinet.
Yeah.
And it's like you can't touch anything, right? So when you do, that demon's attached to you. It will follow you home, and you are screwed until you die. Those are the rules.
On. I mean, how many movies did they make with that?
I know they had The Conjuring.
Conjuring 2.
They had like 3 Insidious, Conjuring 2. They had Annabelle, The Nun.
Like 5. Isn't that La
Llorona?
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure that's... I think
Maybe.
that's in the same universe.
Okay, I think so
it's
too.
in the same universe.
Yeah, so they really milked that.
Yeah, they did. But these people were real, and they wrote about their experiences with all these paranormal. And actually, you want to know what really got them started?
Exorcism.
Amityville Horror. You ever heard of Amityville?
I have.
That's them.
Yeah.
They're the Amityville people. They wrote a book about it. It became a movie in like the 80s.
Yeah.
And so I don't think that those are directly tied to like the cinematic universe for it.
Like
but that was the first ones that they were the Amityville people. And that makes it even creepier because I remember seeing the first Amityville. I remember seeing the Amityville with Ryan Reynolds in it. Really good, by the way. Like he played like this real serious, scary role in it. And I was like, Ryan Reynolds. What's going on, man? You're supposed to be in like Just Friends where you played a fat dude, you know? And here he is like super buff, like with an axe chopping wood and then going crazy.
Man, I feel like I've seen about it. I can't remember anything about it, so.
Yeah, the Amityville ones are super scary. It's about this house that was built on a Native American like burial ground.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that sounds very familiar.
Scary.
So I'm sure I have seen it, but I kind of just like suppress it.
And it's based off of something that happened.
Which is even scarier.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you know, the paranormal part's the speculation, but like this guy went crazy in this house that was buried over this Native American burial ground, saying these voices were telling him to kill his whole freaking family and blew them all up.
Yeah.
I don't fuck with demons and spirits. Voodoo.
Yeah, you ever watch Ghost Hunters?
Oh my God, yes. So there's
we can do
Ghost
that now.
Hunters and then there's Ghost Adventurers.
Yeah. I think I watched Hunters.
Hunters. They're the ones where they were like Roto-Rooter, like plumber guys, like during the day, and then they were taps at night, and they would go all scared. No, and then Ghost Adventurers were like the guys who were like always antagonizing, like, I know you're here. Oh my God, there was something over there. It was those guys.
Okay, yeah, that's the one I watched. My sister loved them too.
Did you just hear that?
Right, and then they just like max the volume out or whatever.
Right, and in the background, all you hear is the white noise, and all you hear is. It's like,
did you hear that? She said she wants to kill me.
Did you see that move? It's like,
right.
No one saw it move.
It's like, hey, this is the most haunted house in America. Let's split up.
It's just your average Scooby-Doo action right there. Yeah. Let's split up, gang. Yeah. But I preferred Ghost Hunters to Ghost Adventures, but I used to watch that all the time. Do you ever see the show? I think it's called The Scariest Place or The Most Haunted Places in the World or Scariest Place in the World.
I've heard a lot about it.
And they had, I think her name's Selma Blair. It's the girl who was in, it's something Blair, who was in the original Exorcist. She was the girl in the original Exorcist. And she was the host. And they would send out these like 2 families to like these most haunted places in the world. And they would have like all this camera gear on. Yeah. And they would have to go to all these different places in the haunted place and try to find each other. They'd like be like split up in it. They'd go to like Dracula's castle in like Transylvania or something, right? And they'd split them all up and they'd all have to find each other. Oh man, that always scared us too. Yeah.
Yeah. So Halloween is cool.
Oh, it's one of my most favorite holidays.
Yeah, next question. Is it your favorite holiday? Or just like top 12?
Top 2. Top 2. And only because I think I feel so much for holidays in general. Christmas just always gives me this ungodly amount of cheer. Yeah. Like in my soul. Like I will be in the car by myself listening to the Christmas radio channel singing Christmas songs by myself
all month.
So it's really hard to pick, you know,
one. Yeah, because I mean they all have good, you know, traditions of one. But yeah, I mean,
but I think Christmas brings me back to like a happier time.
Yeah, I think it's supposed to be nostalgic and family,
just being so gleeful. But as an adult, I don't throw a Christmas party. If that says anything, I throw a Halloween party because it's great.
Yeah, Halloween's cool because also you get to dress up, and you know, for some people it's like they get to be something or someone they're not normally.
Well, that's me during Christmas, and that's happy.
Yeah.
Oh, Richard's really happy this month.
Said I was gonna wear my Flash onesie for this episode, but it's too hot for that. So.
Yeah, I'm not even wearing anything out of the sweater, and I'm like, ooh,
yeah,
man, it's a little toasty. It must be all these extra presences in here.
Perhaps. All right, we're about the mark. So
okay, thanks for joining us for the newest episode of the Paperback Club. As always, we'd like to hear from you. Tell us some of the traditions you've had for Halloween, and like, comment, subscribe below. Underneath, there'll be a link to our Patreon and all of our social media handles. We'd love a follow on all that as well, so you can keep up with the latest and greatest from the Paperback Club. As always,
trying to do more.
Which we're trying to do more.
It's hard.
Yeah, it's tough. We work full-time jobs, plus a half-time job also in that full-time job.
All of it. Yeah.
All of it. One job, two jobs.
So we hope you're enjoying this content. We appreciate any feedback, whether that's suggestions and or topic suggestions. I guess that's the same thing.
Yeah, or just try to engage in the conversation, because that's what we like. We'll comment back to everything. So thanks for joining us again. I'm Richard.
I'm Aliyes.
Have a spooky Halloween.
Tune in next week.